I'll tell you the truth. I've been speaking at these Kiruv seminars in this slot since its inception, which was 20-odd years ago, maybe 25 years ago. And every year I tried to pick a new subtopic that I didn't speak about before. And this year I had a big problem. I ran out of topics. But I realized that if I speak about what I spoke about 25 years ago, most of you were not born at the time. So you couldn't possibly have been here to hear it. So that's what I'm going to do. I didn't look to see what I spoke about, but probably it was something to do with the importance of Kiruv and the pitfalls of Kiruv. Nothing in this world, no issue, no topic is black and white. The only things that are black and white are penguins and nuns. Besides that, everything is very multicolored with many shades of gray. And every topic has many sides to it, and sometimes conflicting sides. Very positive things on one side and very negative things on the other side. But they're all the same coin, two sides of the same coin. And the answer to explain it is not, well, some people hold like this and some people like that and some machlokes. No. Under certain circumstances and in certain conditions, this is what the Torah wants. And under certain circumstances and different conditions, the Torah wants something else. So I'm going to present first the importance of sharing your Torah with other people. And the importance especially of being mechanchim people who have been estranged from their Torah birthright. On the other hand, we're going to see that there are definitely negative points about associating with people who are on a lower level than you, most certainly people who are on a level that one should not associate with them altogether. And how do we resolve this seeming conflict? The Gemara says, at least according to one opinion, so says the Rambam, Rav Katina, that the world will exist for 6,000 years. And it is divided into three 2,000-year epochs. The first 2,000 years were called the years of Tov Vavohu. The second 2,000 years were the 2,000 years of Torah. And the third 2,000 years are Yemos HaMashiach. During those 2,000 years, Mashiach could come. And unfortunately, a good portion has gone by without Mashiach coming yet. When did the 2,000 years of Torah start? So one could think by Matan Torah. But Matan Torah was after 2,000 years from creation. It was in the year 2448 from creation. So it says that Noah learned Torah. Maybe Torah started with him. No, that was too early. So when exactly did the 2,000 years of Torah start? In the year 1948 from Brias HaOlam, which was exactly the year that the Torah describes Avram Avinu going out and being mekarev his generation. V'hanefesh asher asu mecharon. That is when the 2,000 years of Torah started. L'cha'ora, like I said, Noah learned Torah, he knew Torah, he knew which animals were kosher and which ones were not, which ones to bring 2 and which ones to bring 7. Why didn't the 2,000 years of Torah start with Noah? The answer is that Torah was not meant to be learned for one's own purposes, but Torah was meant to be learned and to be taught to others. How strong is that? There's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. The Mishnah says, "Halomed almanas lalamed, maspikim biyado lilmod lalamed." Person who learns with the intention of teaching and sharing his Torah with others. Doesn't mean you have to be a teacher in a school. But it means that you have to share your Torah with others. So halomed amanas lelamed, person who learns with that intention, must speak in biyad lilmod lelamed. So the rabbonus gives him the heavenly assistance to learn and to share his Torah. Halomed amanas lasos, person who learns in order to fulfill the Torah, is maspikim biyado lilmod lelamed lishma v'lasos. Now that doesn't mean that the first person was interested in learning and teaching, but he's not going to keep mitzvahs. He's not observing the Torah. That's absurd. Person who learns and doesn't keep what he learns, better he shouldn't learn. There are 4 aspects. There's learning, there's teaching. There's observing mitzvahs and making other people observe mitzvahs. Lilmod, lelamed, lishmor the lasos. Lishmor is to keep the Torah for yourself. Lasos is to make other people keep the Torah. The Mishnah does not mention a person who learns to observe the Torah, because that's a given. If you don't learn to observe the Torah, like I said, better you shouldn't learn. So it doesn't mention that at all. So what are the options? You can learn with the intention of observing the Torah and teaching others, but you're not going to the extent of making other people keep the Torah too. That's beyond you. A person like that gets heavenly help to learn, to observe, and to teach, to share his Torah. A person who has a higher goal, not only is he interested in learning and observing the Torah for himself, not only is he interested in sharing the Torah with others, but he's going to efforts to see to it that others observe and fulfill the Torah. He gets siyata d'shmaya for everything. Says Rabbi Yaakov Emden, something's missing here. What about the person who just wants to learn? He doesn't want to share his Torah with anybody. He wants to sit and learn for himself and observe the Torah, period. What does he get? Says Rabbi Yaakov Emden, he gets absolutely nothing. Why? Because the Gemara says in Psachim, Halomed shalo almanas lelamed, a person who learns Torah with the express intention of not sharing it with others, Dvar Hashem boza, he is insulting and disgracing the Torah. And the end of that pasuk is, he kores ti kores. He loses this world and the next world. So a person like that gets no siyata d'shmaya and it gets no heavenly help. So it's not mentioned in the Mishnah at all. And therefore, the 2,000 years of Torah did not start with people who learned Torah for themselves, but it started with a classical example of someone who shared his Torah, went out, not only to share his Torah, but to impress and influence others to keep the Torah that they had, the 7 mitzvahs of Noah. That started the 2,000 years of Torah. The Marsha says, Lilmod almanas lelamed is Rashi Tevos la'amal. Adam la'amal yulad. A person was created to toil in Torah. La'amal is Lilmod almanas lelamed. To learn with the intention of sharing your Torah with others. The Klausenberger Rebbe explains the following Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. Im lomadeta Torah harbe. If you learned a lot of Torah, al tachzik tova liatzmecha. Simple meaning of the Mishnah, don't take credit for it. You didn't do anything special. You did what you're supposed to do. Ki lekach no tzarta. Says the Klausenberger Rebbe, it means something else. Im lomadeta Torah harbe. If you were zoche to learn a lot of Torah, al tachzik tova liatzmecha. Ain't tova Torah. Don't hold that good for yourself, but share it with others. Ki lekach no tzarta. You were not created to make yourself, to perfect yourself, to learn Torah yourself. You were created to influence others. You were created to share Torah with others. Lekach no tzarta. And therefore don't hold that good for yourself. Share it with others. Why is it so important for a person to share his Torah with others? Why is that the definition of what Torah is? Like we said, that's when the 2,000 years of Torah started. From Torah that was meant to be influenced to others and spread to others. Torah is supposed to lead a person towards perfection. You don't get perfection in this world, but you're always going towards it. That's why we greet a living person when we say goodbye to him, Lech Lishalom. Shalom means shleimus, perfection. Go towards your perfection. You're never going to reach it in this world. If you've worked on it and you've put in a lot of effort, the rabbonus shalom will bless you with perfection in the next world. So we tell a person, Lech Lishalom, only to a person who's no longer alive. And we bid farewell to them the last time before we bury them. We say, Lech Bishalom. Go with whatever perfection you have. You've reached it. You've reached your whatever you can accomplish. Nothing more to accomplish. You're leaving this world. Lech Bishalom. Shalom, shleimus, is not the acquisition of any one thing. Nothing in this world can ever be perfect in itself. Only the rabbonus shalom is perfect. Everything else, the rabbonus shalom created, and he created it imperfect. And it has to work together with other things to reach its perfection. The Sforno says, every day HaKadosh Baruch Hu created various creations, and he saw they were good. Vayar Elokim ki tov. On Friday, it says, Vayar Elokim es kol asher asa. The Rabbonus Shalom saw everything he created. V'hinei tov ma'od. Was very good. Says the Sforno, what transformed all these good things into very good? You had a lot of good things now. Why was it very good? I'll give you a marshal to what he says. Take an automobile and break it down into its components. So you have tires over here and a motor over there and spark plugs over here and a gas tank. Where I live, they do this often. So you have now car parts all over the place. Each part has a function. That's good. You could use the gas tank to store liquids. You could use the spark plugs to make a fire. You could use the horn as a musical instrument. Everything has a purpose. But when you put it all together and they work together as a functioning automobile, that's very good. Each thing by itself is good. But when they work together to make a functioning automobile, that's very good. Every day HaKadosh Baruch Hu created individual creations which were good. But when they all became part of a functioning universe, that universe is very good. The sum total of all the contributions of all the parts. So that is in the physical world. The social world is the same thing. If everybody in this world would be doctors, we'd have a very healthy world. But who would take out the garbage? And if everyone were garbage men, we'd have a very clean world. Who would heal the sick? So you need a world where there are many different occupations and professions, and everybody contributes their part towards the perfection of the whole. And this is also true in the spiritual world. We pride ourselves that we received the Torah that has 613 mitzvahs. There is no one ever that could possibly fulfill 613 mitzvahs. Not because it's too hard, it's impossible. Why? Because certain mitzvahs are only for Kohanim. So if you're not a Kohen, you're out of the ballpark. You can't possibly ever do 613 mitzvahs if you're not a Kohen. Okay. Kohanim have 613 mitzvahs. Not true? Because there are certain mitzvahs that don't apply to Kohanim, that only apply to a regular Jew. Pidyon haben. A Kohen will never redeem his firstborn son. The mitzvah doesn't apply to him. There are certain mitzvahs that are only for men. Physically, impossible for a woman to fulfill those mitzvahs. And yet there are mitzvahs that are only for women. I'm hoping in my lifetime, no man will ever fulfill the mitzvah of korban yoledes, of a sacrifice you bring after childbirth. It is not a man's mitzvah. We're maybe headed towards that, but as things stand now, that is not a man's mitzvah. So unless you are a Kohen Levi Yisrael, man and woman wrapped into one, which today may be possible, but under normal circumstances was not, there is no way that you can ever fulfill 613 mitzvahs. So what is this myth of Taryag mitzvahs? The answer is we didn't receive the Torah as individuals. We receive the Torah ki ish echad b'leiv echad. One conglomerate called Klal Yisrael. Not because it was a nice thing to have unity. It was necessary. If we didn't unite and accept the Torah as a klal, then we could not, no individual could accept the whole Torah. So the shleimus, the perfection of Torah, is only when everyone does their part and everyone has their chelik in Torah. Everyone has their portion in Torah. And therefore, if I don't share my Torah with others, they're missing something. And if I don't get Torah of others shared with me, I'm missing something. The Zohar HaKodesh says, Yeshishim ribuy osios la Torah. There's 600,000 letters to the Torah. Meaning that if you take the first letters of those words, they spell Yisrael. Yud is Yesh, Shin, Shishim, Reish, Ribuy, Aleph, Osios, Lamed, La Torah. Beautiful idea. There's 600,000 root souls of the Jewish people. There are more than 600,000 Jews, but there's 600,000 root souls, and every person is a part of one of those clusters of souls. And there's 600,000 letters in the Torah. So every Jew has his letter that represents him in the Torah. Every root soul of the Jewish people have its letter. There's only one problem. There are not 600,000 letters in the Torah. Okay, so gematria is +1, -1, doesn't make too much of a difference. How many letters are there in the Torah? 304,588. It's about half of 600,000. So unless we got the Reader's Digest condensed version, right, something's missing. The Pnei Yoshua in Kedushin Lamed Aleph speaks about this and gives an answer or two. And I know about 11 answers to this question. But Lanias Daiti, there's no question. The question would only be if it said, Yesh Shishim Ribi Osios Bat Torah. There's 600,000 letters in the Torah. There aren't. But if it said that, it wouldn't spell Yisrael. It would spell Yisroab. In order to spell Yisrael, you have to read it, Yeshishim Ribi Osios La Torah. There's 600,000 letters to the Torah, which echoes another Zohar, which you all know as a song. Yisrael, v'oraisa, v'kudsha b'richu chadu. The rabbonus shalom and the Torah and the Jewish people are all one. That means that the Torah, the written Torah of 304,000 letters is not complete unless you add the Jewish people to it. You have to connect the Jewish people to that Torah. And the Jewish people is comprised of 600,000 root souls. So, Yesh, Shishim, Ribuy, Osios, there are 600,000 letters, La Torah, that have to be added to the written Torah to make the Torah complete. Then the Torah will be complete. It'll have 300,000 written letters and 600,000 soul letters that are connected to it. That's the idea of Yesh, Shishim, Ribuy, Osios, La Torah. And just like a written Torah, if it's missing one letter, it's not a kosher Sefer Torah anymore. If one Jew is missing from those 600,000 root souls, then the Torah isn't complete. So if I have someone who is estranged from the Torah for whatever reasons, then something's missing in me, because my Torah can't be complete unless it's connected to all the other parts of Torah. It says by Avram Avinu, "Hanefesh asher asu b'charan," in the singular. Avram Avinu was mekared more than one person. Should have said hanefashos, right? The many, many souls that Avram Avinu brought to a belief in God. Why did you say hanefesh? I have two possibilities. Most people say what it means is when it comes to ruchnius, we're all one, but that's by Jews. We're talking here about goyim. That doesn't apply. And therefore, I think there's two ideas, and they're both true. One is the reason Avram Avinu was successful in bringing people closer to the rabbonus shalom is because he considered every individual important. But if you don't consider every individual important, it's only important to bring masses, then you'll never be mekarev anyone, because there'll never be enough people to make it worth the while. So hanefesh asher asu b'charan. You know why Avraham Avinu was successful with all those people that he brought closer to the rabbonus? Because every single nefesh was important to him. But I think there's another idea too. When Avraham Avinu helped to perfect all those souls that he brought closer to the rabbonus, he looked at it not as perfecting them, but as perfecting himself. Hanefesh asher asu becharon. What Avraham Avinu did basically perfected himself. Because as long as there was someone out there that didn't have a connection to the rabbonus, there was something missing in Avraham Avinu. That is halachically sound. If I enjoy saying Kiddush Friday night, and I said Kiddush, I was Yotzei, Motzi my family, and I decide, you know what, I really like that, I want to do it again. So you fill up the cup, say Kiddush again. You're over an Isser of Bracha Levatala. Can't say Kiddush twice, you were Yotzei. But now my neighbor comes in, and he hasn't heard Kiddush, he doesn't know how to make Kiddush. So I can say Kiddush again for him. Why? I was Yotzei already. But part of me is responsible for him. And therefore, part of me was not Yotzei Kiddush, the part that is connected to him. And that part I can say Kiddush again. So sharing one's Torah is important. It's almost, the Chafetz Chaim says, like a mitzvah hashavas aveda. Somebody loses something, material, physical. It's a mitzvah to return it. How much more so if somebody lost their heritage and they lost their connection to the rabbonus and lost their connection to Torah. Don't you have a mitzvah to return it to them? But it's not just to return it to them, but by returning it to them, you are being mashlim, you're perfecting yourself too, because part of you is connected to them, and the part that's connected to them is void of Torah, then there's a part of you that's void of Torah too. So there's a mitzvah to share your Torah with others, and most certainly to share your Torah with people who are estranged from Torah, and it's not only for their sake, it's for your sake also. And someone who lives like that deserves to be called a Goddel. Today, that term is bantered around very loosely. Every person who ever opened a sefer is already Hagon, Hagodel, or whatever. There are definitely Gaonim in this world, but not everybody, right, who can say a Pasuk Chumash is a Gaon. And unfortunately, that title is attributed to many people who do not deserve that title, including myself. So today, right, everybody is a Goddel. So what really makes a person a Goddel? Who's fit to be called a Goddel b'Yisrael? Moshe Rabbeinu, it says, Vayigdal Hayeled, Moshe grew up, and then it says, Vayigdal Moshe. Says the Ramban, the first time he grew up physically, and the second time it's talking about maturity, that he was fit to be called an Adam Goddel. What made Moshe Rabbeinu fit to be called a Goddel? Vayetze alecha vayarbes ivlosam. When he went out to his brothers and he saw their suffering, Rashi says, Nosan eino v'libo lios meitzer aleim. Put his eyes and his heart to suffer along with them. That's Godless. That's what a Goddel is. A Goddel is someone who can go beyond himself and feel someone else's pain, and feel someone else's imperfection, and feel someone else's Semicha. And not only have mercy, but have empathy. To feel it. Why is that called a Goddel? Shimon Shkop, in his Hakdama to Shara Yosha, poses the following question. We know that on the one hand, a person has to have self-concern. We're supposed to be concerned about ourselves, and we come first. In almost every halachic venue. If you are walking your dog, and your Rebbe is walking his dog, and your father or mother are walking their dogs, And all of a sudden, at the same time, all the dogs get loose, and if you don't save them, they're going to be lost. And you can only save one. The other ones are gone. Who do you save? Your Rebbe, your father, your mother? The answer is yourself. You save your dog. You come first when it comes to Hashavas Aveda. You have only a certain amount of money you need it to live on. Somebody else needs money to live on. Who do you give the tzedakah to, yourself or someone else? Efes lo yeh b'cha evion, you take it. You come first. Even when it comes to saving a life, you have a canteen of water. If you drink it, you will be able to get out of the desert and live. If you give it to your friend, he'll get out of the desert and live, and you'll be buried in the desert. If you share it, both of you will be buried in the desert. What do you do with it? Chayecha kodmin, says Rabbi Akiva. You come first. Drink the canteen. Nebuch. You have no right to sacrifice your life. So you have to come first. Your self-concern is a legitimate Torah concern. Yet you can't only be concerned about yourself. You have to be concerned about other people too. You weren't created to worry about yourself only. So it's a big conflict. How do you resolve this conflict of self-concern, opposite concern for all those other people out there? Says Rav Shimon, it's only a very big conflict if you consider yourself from your head to your toes, and everyone else is someone else. Then there's a big conflict. Do I worry about myself or all those other people out there? But some people are bigger than that, and they recognize that their spouse is mamish part of them. Ishto kegufo, baal keishto. When I'm worried about my spouse, I'm not worried about someone else. I'm worried about myself. It's self-concern, except I'm two bodies. Some people are bigger than that, and they recognize that their children are extensions of them. Bro kara davuo. When they're concerned about their children, they're not concerned about someone else. They're concerned about themselves, except themselves now extends to many bodies. Some people are even bigger than that. They consider their entire extended family part of them. When they're worried about their aunts and uncles and cousins, they're not worried about somebody else. That's me. It's all part of me, except now it's a lot of bodies. Some people extend that to their neighborhood, to their city, to their country, to Klal Yisrael, to the entire world. So if you consider everyone part of you, there's no more conflict. It's not a conflict of me or them. It's which part of me now has a priority. So you think that's only semantics, because right now I still have the same quandary, which part of me? But it's not the same. The proof is, the Chidushei Arim explains, Yaakov Avinu is looking for a pillow. There happened to be 12 rocks that fit the necessity of Yaakov's head. To fit his head, could be a pillow. The 12 rocks are arguing. Allah yoniach tzadik es rosho. What does the rabbonus do? He fuses all these rocks into one gigantic rock, and now there's no problem. Says the Chidushei Arim, why not? Yaakov's head didn't get any bigger, and the rocks didn't get any smaller. So now you have one gigantic rock, 12 times the size of Yaakov's head. His head's only going to be on 1/12 of that rock. Why aren't they still fighting? Which 12th? The answer is, when they were separate rocks, it made a difference if the tzaddik's head was on this one or that one. But when they're all one rock, it doesn't make a difference anymore whether it's on this part of me or that part of me or whatever. The conflict is less of a conflict. So that is why a Goddel is somebody who can empathize with other people and feel they're part of him. That's Godless. You go beyond, you're just from your head to your toes. And the more a person is concerned about others and feels that they're mamish part of him, the bigger a person he is. And Mela, when a person looks at himself like that we're all together, especially all Jews, are part of one conglomerate. If a Jew is missing his part of Torah, then it's not his problem, it's my problem too. Because I'm missing part of my Torah too, because my Torah depends on him, and his Torah depends on me. So I think I have given you enough information to know that influencing others in Torah, sharing your Torah with others, feeling that sharing Torah with others is a self-concern, is a very important thing. There's only one problem. The Rambam says in Perek Vav of Hilchos Deos, Derech briyoso shel Adam. It is the nature, the actual nature of a human being to be influenced by the people around him. And therefore, says the Rambam, a person should always strive to distance himself from negative influences, because it's the nature of a person. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants people to be influenced. Because like we said, no one can ever reach perfection on their own. They need to have a joint effort, a team effort. So in order to do that, you have to be influenced by other people. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into the world the very nature of a human being to be influenced for the good. But zeh le'umah zeh also Elokim, whenever there is a power in the world that's for the good, it has to be equally used for the bad. Otherwise, there's no free choice. So as strong as that power is to be influenced for the good, is as strong and natural that power is to be influenced for the bad. It's interesting, the Migdal Oz, one of the Mefarshei HaRambam, said, where is the source of this Rambam? How did the Rambam know that it's by nature a person's influenced by others? Maybe it's not by nature. Maybe it's something you can avoid, right? It's not like putting your hand in the fire and saying, well, I won't get burnt. No, you will get burnt. That's part of the nature of the world. If you are exposed to negative influences, you will be influenced. How did the Rambam know that was the case? Says the Migdal Oz, he learned it from a Gemara in Ksubis on Yud Zayin. Gemara you all know, also is a song. Keitzad Merakdim Lifnei HaKala. What do you say, Rashi says, when you dance in front of the Kala? Mitzvah, Mesameach Chosin V'Kala. And the main thing is to praise the Kala, so the Chosin hears her praises, and that makes him happy, and she's happy. If the Chosin's happy, so everybody's happy. So Keitzad Merakdim, what do you say? So Beis Shammai says, you say what the truth is. Truth is a very important thing. Kala kamo shehi. Say what's true. There are three different explanations in Beis Shammai. The most kitzoni is that if you think the Kala is a ugly witch with no character or intelligence, and the Chosin says, what do you think about my Kala? You have to say, I think she's an ugly witch with no intelligence or character. You don't have to go to that wedding. You can stay by the smorgasbord. But if you're asked and you answer, you have to answer the truth. That's the most extreme explanation of Beis Shammai. Second explanation of Beis Shammai is that you say those words. The Kala is as she is. You have your understanding of what that is. The Chosin obviously thinks differently, so he hears what he wants to hear. You have intention what you have intention. You didn't say anything not true. The third is, find something nice about the Kala. Okay, she may be ugly, have no character, and is totally not intelligent. But her shoes fit nicely, so say that. Oh, your Kala, her shoes fit very nicely. Okay, so you said something true, something positive. You didn't say anything about negative. Okay, that's Beis Shammai. We don't paskin like Beis Shammai. So don't go to the next chasana and tell the Kala or the Chosin that she's an ugly witch with no character. We paskin like Beis Hillel. And Beis Hillel says, Kala no the chasuda. Right? She says, a Kala is beautiful and charming. Says Beis Shammai to Beis Hillel, you know, nice guys, right? Want to say she's Kala no the chasuda. What if she's not? What if she is an ugly witch with no character? And you're saying she's a Kala no the chasuda, v'atorah omra midvar sheker tirchak? So Beis Hillel answered in a very, very difficult way. Beis Hillel said, what if somebody went and bought something and can't return it, and it's a real lemon? He was fooled. He bought something really not good. I'll give you an example in a second. And so he says to you, what do you think of it? What should you tell him? Yishabchenenu be'einov or Yiganenenu. They used to have years ago. They don't have it anymore. People got smart. But in Fridays in Geula, for those who are my age or even a little bit less, remember that they used to sell paintings, artwork, on the street corners of Geula every Friday. Paintings that all of them said 100 shekel with an X on it and down to 50 shekel. Okay. Really, they probably were worth 1 shekel and raised up to 50, but it made it look good. Who is in Geula on Friday? Not the women, the men. A man has absolutely no idea what a nice picture is, but he wants to do his wife a favor. He sees this bargain. 100 shekel picture for 50 shekel, beautiful, whatever it's supposed to be. So he buys one, brings it home. His wife says there's no way that you're putting on the wall unless you put the picture side towards the wall, right? Go return it. I can't return it. I tried to, and the person's gone. There's nobody there on the corner anymore. As soon as he made one sale, he gets out of there quickly, knowing that within a half an hour, the guy will be back to return it. So guy buys this picture, and on his way home, he says, what do you think of this? I bought this for my wife. This is really going to make her Shabbos. What are you supposed to say? That's the ugliest thing I ever saw in my life. Your wife is probably going to throw you out of the house with the picture. What's going to help? The guy can't return it. He has already something that he bought that, so make him feel good. Tell him that it looks nice. Not going to hurt. Be sociable. That's what Beis Hillel answered. Same thing. If the guy's asking you before he got engaged what you think, tell him what you think of the kollelim. Maybe this is not a girl to get married to. He's already married. It's a chasana. So what's going to hurt to tell him she's a nice kollelim? In that situation, you're allowed to lie. That's how most people learn the sugya. Says the Migdal Oz, this is the source of the Rambam, that a person is influenced by his very nature. Where in the world did the Migdal Oz see in this sugya anything to do with hashpos hasviva, with environmental influence? I think what he says is the following. What was Beis Hillel saying? Since by nature a person is influenced by other people's thoughts, that kala in the mind of the chassan is a kala no v'chasuda. And since it's by the nature of a human being to be influenced by what other people think, somewhere within my psyche she's a kala no v'chasuda, because I was influenced by nature by him. So when I say she's a kala no v'chasuda, I'm not lying. I'm just uncovering that part of me that was influenced by his feelings. In any case, so since a person is influenced by his surroundings, how in the world can you ever influence somebody who needs influence if they're going to influence you? Right? You should only hang around tzaddikim, people who are greater than you. You shouldn't hang around people who are lesser than you, who could influence you for the bad, who could drag you down. So how in the world could there be an idea of being mekara people? To be mekara people, you have to be around them. And the Rambam says you shouldn't be around people who could influence you for the negative. The people that you're influencing for the positive, they're the kind of people who can influence you for the negative. Comes out an absurd situation. We have people running after other people to want to be amongst them because they're greater than them. I'm running after tzaddikim because I want to be around tzaddikim. But those tzaddikim look back and say, I don't want to be near this guy. Right? He's on a much lower level than me, so they're running away from me. Now, people are running after me who are lesser than me, and I'm running away from them. So it's like the Keystone Cops. Everybody's running until the guy, in the end, is running after the guy who's at the tail of the line. So how do you bichlal live in this world? Everybody has to live in their own little telephone booth? In case you don't know what a telephone booth is, ask somebody who has a gray beard or gray hair. They'll tell you what a telephone booth is. So everybody has to live in a little telephone booth? This problem came up in history when Klal Yisrael had to go to Mitzrayim and live amongst the Mitzri, who were not great positive influences, to say the least. So Chazal say that when the brothers discovered Yosef revealed himself that he was Yosef, and he sent for his father. They should come down to Mitzrayim, and he'll support them until the famine was over. So it says that Yaakov didn't believe them. After 22 years, Yosef is still alive. Vayaris Lagolah, he saw the wagons that Yosef sent to bring them to Mitzrayim. Vatechi ruach Yaakov aviyam. That's when he knew that Yosef is still alive. Why? Because there was a hint in the wagons. Because Yosef was hinting to his father, I remember the last sugya we were learning when we parted ways. What was that? Eglah rufa. So he hinted to him by sending him wagons, which are called agolos. Agolos is like Eglah. So Yaakov said, I get it. He's hinting to me that he remembers we were learning Eglah rufa. If he remembers what we were learning, Slami's still the same Yosef. Okay, very nice. Few problems. First of all, Yosef didn't send those wagons. Paro did. It says, Paro told Yosef, take wagons and send them for your family. So Yosef didn't even send the wagons. Paro did. Secondly, even if Yosef had sent the wagons, where in the world was there a hint to Eglah rufa? If I understood, I would understand that if Yosef sent a little miniature calf, and Yaakov gets his little calf, he says, what in the world is Yosef sending me a little miniature statue of a calf? Must be trying to hint to me that he remembers Eglah rufa. That makes sense. But he sent him a wagon because they have to move. So he sent them moving wagons. Where in the world is there a hint to Eglah rufa? I mean, it's like somebody sends somebody a moving truck. The guy says, look, I'm moving. Could you send me a moving truck? He sends him a moving truck. The truck pulls up and he says, I get it. You're trying to hint to me you should have good luck because truck and luck rhyme. No, I'm not trying to hint to you anything. I sent you a moving truck. You have to move. The answer, the kitzur, I think, is the following. If you look carefully at the psukim, it says, Paro told the brothers, take wagons, or he told Yosef, take wagons from Mitzrayim and send them for your parents, for your father, and for your rest of the family. But einechem al tachus al kleichem, don't bring one item of your household items here. Leave it in Eretz Yisrael. Make a yard sale, sell it all away. Come here with the shirt on your back. Why? Because I will provide for you bituv eretz Mitzrayim. I'll give you the best clothing, the best furniture. Don't bring anything except your people with the shirt on their back. That's what Paro said, basically. Why did he say that? Because Paro really wanted Yaakov to come to Mitzrayim, but he realized elderly people don't like to make changes in their life. They don't like to move away from their comfort zone, especially moving to a new place where the clothing is different, where the furniture is different, right? The rooms in Mitzrayim may have been smaller than the rooms in Eretz Yisrael, and the beds won't fit, and the current is different. You plug in your hair dryer and it burns out the motor because this is 220 and that's 110, and it's very uncomfortable. So Paro thought I could convince Yaakov to come if he realizes he'll acclimate and integrate, assimilate in Mitzrayim as quickly as possible. So I'll give him Egyptian clothing and an Egyptian house and Egyptian furniture, and he'll feel at home here. Yosef knew if he told his father that, come to Mitzrayim and you'll be able to assimilate into Egyptian culture, he'll never come in a million years. Yaakov will only come if he's assured that he won't assimilate, that he'll be able to live like the Torah says in last week's Sedra, Am levodad yishkon. 2 weeks ago, Sedra. Depends where you are. Am levodad yishkon. We're a nation that dwells apart, insulated from the rest of the world. So Yosef added wagons. Yosef sent wagons for every single bit of their property, of their material possessions. Why? They'll be able to take a little bit of Eretz Yisrael and transpose it into Mitzrayim. They will not be living with the Egyptians, but amongst the Egyptians. That's the way to live in Godless, to live amongst, but not with. That's what Am Levodad Mishkon. We're not a nation that dwells isolated from the world because we have to influence the world. We're supposed to be an Ohr Lagolah. can't be a light to the world if you're isolated from them. But we're supposed to live in Eretz Yisrael insulated, but not isolated. It's a very interesting Miri. The Meiri says that the evil in this world is like the ocean, and the way to escape it is a ship, a boat. On the surface, it doesn't make any sense. You can't escape the ocean in a boat. The boat can only exist on the ocean. What it should have said is the way to escape it is an amphibious craft, which gets out of the ocean and goes on dry land. Why do you say the way to escape the evil in the world, which is the ocean, is a boat? The answer is you can't escape the evil in this world. It's everywhere. There's no place in this world that there isn't an Nisayan, where there isn't negative influences. Everywhere. So how do you escape it? You can't run away from it. You insulate yourself like a boat. You can't get out of the ocean, but you can insulate yourself that the water shouldn't come in. That's what a boat is. That's how a Jew has to live amongst negative influences. And therefore, the proof to that is that when Yosef described what he's going to tell Paro, but he told the brothers, I'm going to tell Paro, Achai ubeis avi asher be'eretz Canaan bo elai. My brothers and their families who are in the land of Canaan came to me. That's not what it should have said. It should have said, Asher me Eretz Canaan. They are from Eretz Canaan. They came here. If they came here, they're not in Eretz Canaan. You can't be in two places, same place, same time. So why did he say Asher be'eretz Canaan? In fact, when he told Paro, he said, Achai ubeis avi bo me Eretz Canaan. They came from Eretz Canaan. But to the brothers, he said Asher be'eretz. He told them, you haven't left Eretz Yisrael. You are taking a little bit of Eretz Yisrael and transposing it into Mitzrayim, like an embassy. The embassy is the land of the country that has the embassy, not the host country. You go to the American embassy, if you can get in there or whatever, you're in America. You can get asylum, whatever. The laws of America apply, not the laws of Israel. So we're creating a little bit of a embassy in Mitzrayim. We're going to live amongst the Egyptians, but not with them. You're still in Eretz Canaan, but you brought Eretz Canaan like a little bubble into Eretz Mitzrayim. That's how you're able to surround yourself with negative influences, but you're not with them, you're amongst them. And that's what the wagons that Yaakov saw. The brothers said, Paro only sent wagons for us. He said, don't bring anything with you. And Yosef understood that we're not going to assimilate here. And he sent extra wagons for every single material possession we have so we can recreate a little Eretz Yisrael amongst the Egyptians. When Yaakov saw that, he knew that Yosef understood what they learned by Eglah Rufa, not because of the Agola. What was Eglah Rufa? Eglah Rufa is, what was the last, how did Chazal know the last thing that they were learning was Eglah Rufa? They had a Masorah, what? Says the Dasikain Mibali Atosus, it was very easy to figure out. Anybody could figure it out. What happened the last encounter that Yosef had with Yaakov? Yaakov sent him to look to see what was doing with the brothers. So they shook hands, give him a kiss, and Yosef goes to exit the house, and Yaakov goes with him. So Yosef says to his father, Dad, don't bother, it's okay, I know the way. And Yaakov says, no, it's very important to escort somebody outside. It's a halacha, you have to escort them. And Yosef said, how do you know that? That you have to escort somebody? So we learn it from Eglah Rufus, Yaakov said. Because the Beis Din has to wash their hands over the Eglah Rufa, which was beheaded as a kapara for someone who was murdered, and we don't know who the murderer was. And they have to say, Yodeinu lo shafchu, that we didn't kill this guy. So Gemara says, do we think that the Beis Din killed him? But they say, we didn't see him and let him go without food and water and an escort. So you see, it's very important to escort somebody. L'chora, the Maral speaks about this. You only have to escort somebody a minimum of 4 amos outside the door. The guy was not killed within those 4 amos. He was killed maybe miles away. How in the world is your going with him 4 amos going to prevent him from being murdered 15 miles later? Says the Maral, when a person's alone, he has to rely on his own individual merits. And nobody has that kind of merit that can protect them from a violent crime. But when somebody else escorts you, you're no longer alone. You're no longer detached from others. You're connected to others. And the schus harabim, the schus of being attached to others, could save a person. What do you see from that? That a person is not judged where he is physically, but where he wants to be. And the person who is escorting the person, his mind goes along with him, that's where he is. You can be in the land of Egypt, but if your mind is in Eretz Yisrael, then you're in Eretz Yisrael. And you can be, unfortunately, in Eretz Yisrael. If your mind is in Chutz La'aretz, then that's where you are. Person, that's what Yaakov Avinu saw. And that's why Yosef told his brothers, wants to coach them. They don't know anything about Paro, about Mitzrayim, so he's coaching them. He's going to introduce them to Paro for the first time, what to say, what not to say. Don't say to Paro. He said, when Paro asks you what you do for a living, say blank. Why? Ki toavas Mitzrayim kol ro'ei tzon. Because the Egyptians abominate shepherds. Why? Because shepherds take care of sheep. The Egyptians consider the sheep as gods, so the shepherds treat the gods as animals. That's an abomination to the Egyptians. Treating my God like an animal. So I would understand that Yosef should have told his brothers, you know what, when you get to Paro and he's going to ask you what you do for a living, don't ever mention anything about being shepherds. You don't know what a sheep is. You never saw one in your life. You're plumbers, you're doctors, whatever you are, whatever you say, do not mention anything about sheep and shepherding. You know what Yosef told his brothers? When Paro will ask you what you do for a living, tell him the following. We were always shepherds. Not only us, our forefathers were always shepherds. We don't know anything else except being shepherds. You know why? They'll put you amongst them, but not with them. They're going to abominate you. They're not going to want to live next to a Jew who treats their God like an animal. They'll put you in Goshen. You'll be amongst the Egyptians, but not with them. That's exactly what you want. So that is how a person is able to avoid being influenced if he is mevudad, if he's insulated. You have to create your own little makom Torah and go from that makom Torah to be mashpia, to influence others. You're not living and functioning with others, but amongst others. And I think that's the meaning of the following Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. The Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos, Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma said, I was once traveling, and I met someone, seemed to be a nice menschliche person. He gave me shalom, and I answered him. And he said to me, where do you come from? I said, I come from a city with Talmidei Chachamim, yeshivas, seminaries, right? Real makom Torah. The man said, I envy you, because I come from a place where there's no Torah at all. We don't have any yeshivas, we don't even have shuls, we have nothing. But we have one thing, we have a lot of money. Would you like to come and live with us in our place? And I'll give you an unlimited amount of money, an unlimited budget. Now, if you were Yosef ben Kisma, what would you answer? This is a tremendous Kiruv opportunity. Here are people who are thirsting for Torah, right? They want me to come. There's no budget, whatever we need. So I'll come tomorrow, bring a yeshiva, 2 kollelim, a girls' school. There's no limit to the budget. And we'll start a new makom Torah. That's what Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma should have said. Isn't that what every Goddel Israel, whoever started a new community, said? Lakewood, New Jersey was not a makom Torah when Rav Aaron Kotler came to America. It was a resort place for non-Jews. And Rav Aaron made it into a makom Torah. Bnei Brak was not a makom Torah when the Chazon Ish came to Eretz Yisrael. He could have stayed in Yerushalayim, which was the makom Torah of the time. Instead, he created a new makom Torah in Bnei Brak. So why did Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma answer, you can give me all the money in the world, and any door makom Torah, I'll stay in my makom Torah, I'm not coming to you? What kind of answer is that? Should have told his wife, we're moving tomorrow. We have an unlimited budget. We're going to start 5 kollelim, 2 yeshivas, girls' schools, and create a new mechanchim Torah. Why do you say in any door, I live in mechanchim Torah, I'm not leaving? The answer, I think, is he didn't say that. It's exactly what he said. He told the people, I don't like the invitation. What was the invitation? It's a double thing here. Would you like to live with us in our place? Could have just said, would you like to live with us, obviously in our place? Or would you like to live in our place, obviously with us? Why was the invitation, with us in our place? They said, look, you come, you live shoulder to shoulder with us. We'll all be one happy family, and you'll be mashpia on us, and you'll bring Torah to our community. Said Rabbi Yossi ben Kishpa, it's not going to work like that. If I come and we're going to live together as one happy family, I'm not going to be influencing you. You're going to be influencing me. And we'll all reach the lowest common denominator. I'm going to come to your place, but in any door, I'll be mechanchim Torah. I'm going to create a mechanchim Torah amongst you, but not with you. And you're going to be able to come to my mechanchim Torah. I'm going to be very friendly to you and very inviting, but I'm going to be insulated from you because I'm going to live in my mechanchim Torah that's amongst you, but not with you. That was the answer. That's how a person can influence others and be involved in Kiruv, but not be with, but be amongst. Be very friendly. And that's how a rebbe, a father, a mother have to influence. Whenever you have people who are influencers and people being influenced, there has to be a surface tension between them. You can't be like in America today, parents are no longer parents. They're friends, right? That's why people don't have too many children, because when it comes to making a decision in the family, they vote, and everybody has one vote. So if you have too many children, you're outvoted. So if you only have 1 or 2 children, the dogs don't vote. So, Lamaisi, you're not going to be outvoted. People don't call their parents parents. They call them by their first name. So those people have another friend, but they don't have any parents. A rebbe has to be very friendly to his talmidim, but he can't be their friend. He has to be their rebbe. There has to be that surface tension between them. You have to be friendly, but not a friend. You have to be a rebbe. I once wanted to say, we'll end with this, that 600,000 letters to the Torah does not include the Levium, the people who are supposed to influence Klal Yisrael. The Levium were beyond the 600,000. So where are they hinted? Yeshishim ribu osios la Torah, but that doesn't include the Levium. So I thought there's something else in the Torah besides letters. There's sirtut, a line that is indented in the parchment that has to be there, and the letters are written, the top of the letters on that line. That's called sirtut. I made a cheshbon. How many lines are there in a Sefer Torah? According to the custom of how we write a Sefer Torah, how many columns, how many lines, there are basically 11,000 lines in a Sefer Torah, the minig that we write a Sefer Torah. That's a Sefer Torah of 300,000 written letters. If you take a Sefer Torah and double that to be 600,000 soul letters, how many lines would there be? 22,000. It's exactly the number of the Levium. The Levium are the sirtut. They're the lines on the parchment. What's the purpose of the lines? To keep the letters straight and to give them something to look up to. They can't be part of the letters. They have to be separated from the letters. Above, give them something to look at and to aspire to, but not be with, but amongst. And therefore, a person has to have that desire to want to influence others, to want to share their Torah with others, but there are circumstances when you can't do that because you're going to be influenced for the negative and not influenced for the positive. But if you have the desire, when the circumstances arise that are favorable, you'll do it. If you have no desire, you'll never do it. So a person has to realize that sharing your Torah and influencing others and being mashlim and perfecting others is part of your shleimus and part of your purpose in this world. At the same time, you have to be very careful that you don't do it in a way where you're not going to be the one influencing, but the one who is influenced and dragged down. And you have to be able to balance those two very important principles. And if you can, then we'll see the day when this generation will be able to be those that bring back thousands and thousands of Yidden who are estranged from Yiddishkeit. And when that Torah becomes complete, ki yitnu bagoyim ato akabseim, that's when Mashiach will come and bring the real perfection to this world, the Kollel Tzedek Meher of Yomein.